Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to Mr. Grable in our Grade 3 ELA class, where we have a story called The Catfish Palace to read today by Hazel J. Hutchins, illustrated by Ruth Ohi. The Catfish Palace. The pet store near Cindy's house had been called the Catfish Palace for as long as anyone could remember. The cages were clean, the water was fresh, and the young budgies chattered happily on their perches. There were also plenty of small aquarium fish, but the catfish for which the store was named was not small. He was large and flat and round and sat at the bottom of his tank all day after day. The tank had been built especially for him with tall cement walls, but it was not really large enough for a fish his size. Some of the customers who looked in the tank laughed when they saw such a large fish sitting on the bottom. Some of the customers who looked in the tank became very interested and asked how old he was and where he was from and if he had a name. Some of the customers who looked in his tank said nothing and went on to look at other things. Cindy was one of those people. "I feel sorry for the big catfish at the pet store," Cindy told her mother one night. "Why is he there?" "I think he's their mascot," said her mother. "Perhaps he started out small and then got large, and there he is. I know his tank isn't very big, but I don't think they could find a bigger aquarium for him even if they tried." Cindy told her father about the large catfish. "Yes, I've seen him," said her father. "He makes me sad too. But it's not as bad as things once were. In the old days, some storekeepers had wild animals chained up outside their stores. A bear or a wolf on a very short chain, and they were never taken off the chain. I'm glad people aren't allowed to do that anymore. I don't think the catfish is as unhappy as those animals were." Cindy asked the lady next door about the large catfish. "I know how it feels to be sad about a fish," said the lady next door. "When I was a child in the old country, my mother used to buy a live fish at the market and bring it home and put it in our bathtub. Just when I began to feel friendly towards it, we'd eat it for supper." Cindy knew that they were all trying to make her feel better, but she still felt very sorry for the big catfish. One day, Cindy heard a veterinarian talking on the radio. He had studied a sea mammal called a dugong. He explained that tears fall from the eyes of the dugong. Some people believe the tears are valuable. In one place where the veterinarian had lived, a person with a house near the ocean had captured a dugong. The person had treated it unkindly, hoping to make it cry more, and then the person had collected its tears. Wow, that's quite a story. And did he keep it for a long time? Asked the interviewer. I suppose he might have, said the veterinarian quietly. But one morning I got up very early, before anyone else in the village was awake, and released it back into the ocean. It made Cindy feel good to hear the man tell so simply how he had helped the dugong. For many nights after that, Cindy dreamed of doors and locks and waves rolling up a beach. But she could not do what the veterinarian had done. She could not open locked doors. And the catfish was so many kilometers from any place it might be able to call home. Cindy stopped going to the Catfish Palace. All summer, when she needed something for her own pets, she went to another store, even though it meant a long bike ride across town. In November, however, snow fell deeply, and Cindy's bike was put in the shed. Once again, she had to return to the Catfish Palace. It was the same as always, dark and warm and heavy with animal smells, but clean enough and with a feeling that the animals were well cared for. Cindy would have had good feelings about it, except for the cement tank along the wall. Then she noticed someone was cleaning out the tank. In fact, when she walked right up to it, she realized the tank was empty. What happened to the big catfish? Asked Cindy. He was very old, said the girl, who was scouring the side. He died a few days ago. Are they going to get another one? Asked Cindy. I think so, said the girl. After all, the name of the store is the Catfish Palace. That night, Cindy wrote a letter to the owner of the Catfish Palace. She told him about how the big catfish had made her feel. How the big catfish had made her feel. She told him about the old days when bears and wolves were kept on chains in front of a store. She told him how instead of making her want to go into the store, the big catfish had made her not want to go inside. She told him she could understand how people could take something for a pet by mistake, not really understanding how big it might get. But she asked him not to buy another big catfish. She said, perhaps he could change the name of his store instead. Cindy did not receive a reply to her letter. All winter, whenever she walked by the store, she looked to see if the name on the sign had changed. But it had not. One day, when she and her mother were walking by, Cindy did see a change. The big round cement tank now stood against the front window. Someone had built the big round cement tank now stood against the front window. Someone had built cardboard castle turrets above it. Cindy felt a soft, sad lump in the pit of her stomach. If anything, this was worse than before. Cindy, let's just pop in, and see what they've got in that big tank," said her mother. Cindy shook her head. "I don't want to," she said quietly. "I don't know," said her mother. "They don't usually put tanks with fish in them right up against the glass like that. It's too hard to keep the temperature at the right level." So Cindy and her mother went into the store. Her mother looked first. Cindy saw a smile spread across her face. In fact, her mother actually giggled. Then Cindy peeked over the edge. There was a green lawn, some miniature patio furniture, and trees. Spread on the lawn and in the furniture and on the trees were all kinds of toy cats. Each had his or her fishing hook dangling into a little tub that was marked Donations SPCA. One of the cats had a little heart pinned to her hat. It read, "For Cindy." Wow. Now, sometimes Cindy still thinks of the big old catfish. Sometimes she still thinks of bears chained up by country stores and the story of the dugong. She knows there are many other things she will see that may make her sad. She knows the world is not perfect, and she will not always do the perfect thing herself. But she also knows it is never too late to try and do things better. And she often takes her friends to see the catfish, the cat's fish, at the Catfish Palace. That's a good one. The cat's fish, cat's fishing, at the Catfish Palace. I get it now. Have a good day. Bye-bye.